A systematic way to solve this problem is to form a simple mathematical equation with our unknown variable v2, or x, and then we can use algebra to solve for x. Let's first do it using general notations. Remember that velocity times time is distance, so v1 times time equals d1, and then v2 times time equals d2. And if you add them up, you will get the equation v1 times time plus v2 times time equals d1 plus d2, or v1 times time plus x times time equals d1 plus d2. Both sides of the equal sign are equal. On both sides, you have the sum of the two distances. However, on the left side, we express them in terms of velocities and time, but on the right side, we express them directly as distances. The good thing about doing it like this is that now we have an equation in which we have our unknown variable x, which is the velocity of the second car. We know all the other variables in that equation. However, before we plug them in, let's solve for v2 in general terms. In order to solve for a variable in an equation using algebra, always remember that both sides of the equal sign must always be equal. So whatever you do on one side, you also have to do it on the other side. So my goal is to express x in terms of everything else. Therefore, what I can do is the following. On the left side, I can subtract v1 times time from v1 times time, and their difference will give me 0. And I will only be left with one term here, which is x times t. But since both sides of the equal sign must be equal, I also have to subtract v1 times t from whatever I have on the right side. And thus, I have x times t equals d1 plus d2 minus v1 times t. Next, if I divide the left side by time t, then the t's cancel out, and I will have x only. However, don't forget that you have to do the same thing on the right side. Whatever you have there, you have to divide it by t. And so you will have x equals all that divided by t. And there you go. You have expressed x in terms of all the other variables that you know. And since our x was v2, we can write v2 equals and all this.